Welcome, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. Welcome to Facebook Live. It is the 13th of April, year 2023. I hope everyone is doing fantastically well. It's unusual. We normally have the Facebook Live on Wednesdays. Today, we have it on Thursday. So we actually have somebody who does not normally attend our Wednesday meetings because of the Masked Singer, and she's here today. So good to have her. So let me introduce you to the panel. We have April, who is psychic, has done some channeling, mediumship, all kinds of modalities of healing, like massage therapy, hypnotherapy, etc., etc. And then we have Michelle, who is part of our core group of meditators. Good evening, Michelle. And we have Patricia here, who is part of our core group of meditators. And I'm hoping Caesar joins because he did message me that he would join. And Michelle, I'll let you ask the question, April, if you wanted to start, and I'll tag everyone. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's great to be back. So this is something that came up today. My husband and I were listening to like a YouTube channel. I forget her name, but she's a doctorate in psychology and has been running experiments on the placebo effect. So I actually Googled Joe Dispenza and this woman's name to see if it came up together. And there's something that he tweeted back in 2018 of this experiment. It's called the milkshake experiment. So basically what they were trying to research is mind over matter, right? So when it comes to food, they had basically prepared the same recipe of a milkshake. And they told one group that this milkshake contained all these heavy fats and calories. And the other group was the same recipe, was told that it was a lot of minerals and low fat, low caloric intake. And so they were studying physiological effects of this one chemical. I forget the name of it, but it has to deal with the fullness of how you feel. It's a chemical that the body releases when you're full. So the group that was told that was heavy in calories and fat, they measured the blood, and this chemical was like 3 times more, that feeling of fullness, right, was reflected in their chemical reactions because they believed that what they were drinking was heavy and filling, versus the group that was told that it was low calorie recipe, right? And so they didn't produce this chemical. So basically it's the placebo effect. So if you believe what you're eating fulfills you and is nutritious, then it will be, right? This is what this woman was. And so I thought it was rather interesting because that could be interpreted into many other scenarios, right? So we always think that, and I know that, medical medium. And so I thought it was really pertinent to kind of maybe discuss it a little bit, like how the placebo effect affects the nutritional value of whatever you believe, whatever you're eating, and how does it affect the chemicals? So because we think something is nutritious for us, the chemicals are enhanced or are produced because we have that belief. So I thought it was kind of it's not just manifesting desire, our wishes or health, but actually how our bodies interpret the nutritional value of food.
Okay.
Out of the box.
So the mind and the body cannot be separated for the most part. There are people like us who are on this journey, and we can learn to separate the mind and the body in an aspect of I can separate my thoughts from my body or my emotions from my body. But for the most part, the body and the mind are always connected. So if I'm having a bad emotion, I can learn to not let that take me over and affect my entire body and my entire being. But if I maintain that negative emotion, it is going to affect my body at some point. Joe Dispenza talks about a lot of these experiments, and one of the ones that I remember, well, two of the ones that I remember the most of him talking about is the one where he talks about the piano players, people who are asked to play the piano. I don't know if you guys remember that one, where one group was playing, one group was pretending playing, one group was thinking about playing. I'm just shortening it up. And all of them grew muscle on their fingers. His other one that I really liked was the one that he talked about with the athletes, where they laid them in a chair, like a bed, and they hooked them up and they asked them to imagine actually running their race, and their mind and their body reacted as if they were actually running, but yet they were laying down. So the mind and the body, which is really Joe's whole premise, there's no difference between what you're imagining and what your body and your mind think is real. So that includes like food. And Abraham Hicks said this once in one of her talks. She said, really doesn't matter what you eat. It's more about the intention behind what you're eating. Somebody asked her the same question, about diet and should I be so careful and should I watch everything that I'm eating? And she said, it's really not the food you're eating. It's the emotion and the intent behind the food that you're eating. So do I think that people could have milkshakes and have the thought, which would release the chemical reactions in the body that I'm full? Yes. Do I think that they could drink milkshakes and have the intention that this is going to give me some sort of vitamin? Yes, I do think that that's possible. I don't think that it's probably something we should do over time. It's still sugar. It's, you're going to have an effect on the body if you continuously feed yourself milkshakes, even if you think they're healthy. So it's kind of also like the rice experiment, where you take 2 jars of rice, you put them in your counter. One you speak negatively to, one you speak positively to, and the one that's negative will get all moldy and gross. The other one will be, so it's intention. It is the energy that your mind and your body is putting out. And if your mind and your body are synced together, the intention is more pure. And therefore you could possibly turn a milkshake, at least temporarily, into something that's good for you. When you have thoughts, chemical reactions are released within the body, thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Joe Dispenza talks a little bit about it. Bruce Lipton does. Deepak Chopra talks a lot about the chemicals that are released within the body just off of thought. So I don't think it's completely impossible. It's not something I would definitely recommend for long term. I mean, we are in human bodies, so anything is possible. We have amazing energy. We have amazing intent. We can influence the field. However, you are still in a physical body that needs to be taken care of. That's the catch-22, is we are these expanded spiritual, amazing beings that really are capable of anything. However, we are in this physical form, which is a lower density. And that's where the catch-22 is for it.
Yeah, I was also, it was funny as you were speaking, April, and that's kind of where I think as well, like, it's I think you still have to respect the temple of the physical body, right? I think that it's important because that's part of taking care of yourself, right? And we're meant, it's something we should hold sacred.
Yeah.
And I
I
was
mean,
listening.
if you're going to have like fries and ice cream and a Big Mac and you're going to pray over it and intend for it to be truly nutritious, I mean, there's a little bit of reality that we have to bring in here. Now, if you can still put intention over your food that whatever vitamins or nutrients is in there, that your body uses it. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was just also thinking earlier today, by coincidence, I was listening to Kim Eng, and she was talking, it was a questioner that was asking about vegan, becoming a vegan, and what was her thoughts about being a vegan versus people that are, eat meat. And she kind of said, it really depends on what you instinctively or intuitively feel you need for your body. And it's more about the intention of, how we're treating the animals, right? In the way that,
Yeah.
because she lives in the country and she's always passing by the chicken farms and stuff like that. And she knows how the chickens and the cows are being treated. And so in this country, right? And so it's more about honoring them, and Kim just did respond that at some points, if you're living in an area where you don't have access in the winter to because it doesn't grow, right? The fields don't grow the crops, and you have forced to eat an animal. And if the animal has to, you have to sacrifice the animal in order to live or to eat, then hold it sacred and pray over it. And she mentioned the movie Avatar, and other, the Native Americans, they'll pray over, the kill, whatever kill that they've done, it, and honor it, it's sacrifice for it. So it's almost like the intention with which you do it, right? And that whole, how we do what we do,
So I'm noticing that trend happening where people are saying, it's okay to be vegan or vegetarian or to eat meat. It's not about, they used to say, no, you had to be vegetarian. That's it. And I'm noticing this trend now where they're like, no, it's about how you treat the animal. It's an interesting concept. I told you guys many times as I was going to school, one of the things I did was I had my own cleaning business, house cleaning business, and I cleaned for very wealthy people, and some of them were Muslim. And I remember one day that they happened to get like Kentucky Fried Chicken or something, but they only got like the mac and cheese and the corn, and it was because they didn't feel that the animals were killed in the proper way. So that's been a long-term thing. And it's not about, so you have to realize again, where you have a human body, and some people are not able to be vegetarians. Their body is not there. It's not prepared. It's not ready. They need that iron. So it's important to not, and I'm not saying you are, but to not pass judgment.
Mhm.
Some people's bodies literally need that type of nutrition. Now, maybe in this lifetime or another lifetime, perhaps they can become the vegetarian, which is more energy. So the reason we should eat the plants is because the plants take in the energy, then we eat the energy. But I do agree that our America in itself, whole food industry, is highly manufactured for mass production, which is not the best. I just think it's important to understand that some people's bodies literally need meat. They will have worse times with trying to eat spinach or kale than if they just had a piece of chicken breast or, So I think America's food completely needs to be revolution, like totally. We need to fix it. And it is better to try to eat as much vegetables and fruits as you can, because that is where the sun's at. That's where the energy's at. So
I see that Caesar joined. Good evening, Caesar. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome back. Good to have you back. Thank you so much, April. That was incredibly amazing. Thank you. You always have beautiful insights. And you said it correctly. Dr. Joe does talk about the piano player experiment a lot. He also talks about, I think it's during the progressive or intensive course, he talks about, it may even be in Becoming Supernatural, where he talks about like a group of maids in Texas. They were like gaining weight, right? So what they did was they separated the two groups. And one group, they said, you know, when you make the, and I'm paraphrasing here, when you make the mattress, when you do the housework, and when you do the cleaning, you almost are working out as much muscles as an athlete. So they noticed that the people that they informed them about that they were burning as much calories as an athlete, right? They lost weight. Those maids lost weight. So whenever we give meaning to something, and that's why in Becoming Supernatural and all his, so what he makes us do is when we go into an advanced retreat is he'll say something and then he says, now explain it to the person next to you. And then he'll say something, he'll wait and he'd say, now explain. There's one video on YouTube about mission boxes, and you'll see in that video, and I'll give you that video, he does that, and you'll see the pause that everybody's talking to each other, and you'll wonder why they're talking to each other, because he's trying to get us to absorb the information so that it gives us meaning, right? The more meaning we give to it, the more we absorb it, and we know how to apply it, how to apply his meditations, how to apply everything that he says, right? So the placebo, I mean, there are so many numerous, just like April was saying about the rice, there's something about the water, right? Some children or some experiment where they were talking, Japanese experiment where they were talking to clear water, and where they were angry with the water, it turned cloudy and black, and the one that was, they were kind and talked kind to it, it was like clear. So now talking about food, since Patricia and I do medical medium, right? We have to be our own detective, as Anthony Williams says. It's okay if you are healthy. If he went to I'm not talking about go get a physical done by a regular doctor. Regular doctor will not detect the things that you need to actually test for. What we need to test for is how much of the Epstein-Barr virus do we have in our body? How much of the herpes simplex 1 virus do we have in our body? How much do we have of metal toxins in our body, right? And that only a functional medicine doctor, the regular checkups do not check for heavy metal toxins, right? These heavy metal toxins, the Epstein-Barr virus, is what causes the early onset of dementia, Alzheimer's. And if we already have dementia, Alzheimer's in our family structure, right, heart disease, then we need to actually, this is information, and that's why we do so much, like even though we've read his book or listened to his book, and we've done so much information, when he comes on live, we go listen to the live again so that we get refreshed, right? Because you wouldn't realize, like, I was listening to one of his old lives on YouTube over the weekend, and he was talking about spinach, like somebody saying, oh, spinach has oxalates. Do you realize how much spinach I eat? I eat like two big boxes of spinach every week, and I've been doing it for 3 years. And they said the regular thing is spinach causes kidney stones. Spinach does not cause kidney stones. The what he was saying in that video was that the bones, like when our bones disintegrate, the calcium goes and deposits in our kidney stones and our gallbladder, and that is what causes gallstones and kidney stones. So people don't have the right information, right, about their health. Why are they having a certain disease and what is causing their disease? And they'll end up eating the wrong thing for whatever their disease state is, right? So when we say, okay, we can eat this, we can eat that, be your own detective. Does eating, like for me, eating pizzas and eating fat, I could not do it. One, I was having acid reflux. Two, I had this terrible pain in my lower leg, like my shin and calves, like I couldn't stand. Like if I was standing and cooking for an hour, it would hurt so badly that I would have to go lie down. I love going hiking. I could not go hiking, right? So that's what made me go look for, okay, what can I do to resolve this? And I came across the medical medium protocol. And then he starts to explain that the pain that this mystery pain that we have, right? Like, you know, your bone is not hurting, there's no hurt there, but there is pain. That mystery pain is caused by, we are having a viral load. The viruses feed on metals in our body and release neurotoxins. The neurotoxins go and sit on our nervous system, on our nerves, and they cause the pain. So if anybody's saying, I have mystery back pain, I have mystery so-and-so, when all these mystery back pains and all that exist, that's because there are neurotoxins being released by the Epstein-Barr virus, and we have a heavy load of it. And so the cleansing helped me so much. I used to have like huge cystic acne on my face. Like it would be full of cystic acne. All that cleared up. Acid reflux gone. The pain is gone. Pain in my leg is gone, right? So I do know that the protocol, the way what he's saying, if you apply the science of what he's saying, is correct. The other thing that I noticed is, if you look at Patricia's eyes too, she doesn't have black marks, and mine are getting lighter, right? He says when you have dark circles around your eyes, that means you have dirty blood. And dirty blood means that your blood is so thick that that's when you will get heart, you know, it won't go through the arteries and get clogged, right? So the only way to clean the dirty blood, that means you have too much fat in your body, like fat, you're consuming too much fat. And when you're consuming too much fat, it won't allow. So what should happen is, in a system that is working really well, the blood is so thin that the blood is taking the toxins out. The blood is taking out the Epstein-Barr virus. It's taking all the pathogens out of the body, right? But when we eat so much of a high-fat diet, the pizzas, the deep fried food, the chips and the French fries and all that, right? Then what happens is our blood gets so thick that the pathogens won't cleanse out of our body. And if the pathogens don't cleanse out of our body, then all these diseases come, right? Like different, and you can read, like he has a book, Cleanse to Heal. You can get it at the library, like Anthony Williams says, right? Get it at the library for free and read it. I would strongly recommend that people read. Why? I mean, if you have symptoms, then read it. If you don't have symptoms, continue to do what you're doing. Your food is not going to, that means whatever food you're eating, your body is okay with what food you're eating. I could not, even being vegetarian, I could not do the dairy. I could not, I mean, the fact that I don't have fat in my diet, I could not do dairy. I couldn't do cheese. I removed everything. Like whatever he says remove, I've removed it. And that's what has helped. No tofu, no soy, no vinegar, no all the troublemaker foods. Now, as far as what Kim Ing was saying about animals being, the way animals are being treated, and the animals, like Anthony Williams says, when you go eat at a restaurant, how do you know what animal, what is that animal? How is it treated? If you go eat at Taco Bell, how is that animal treated? Right? If you go eat at Sonic or whatever, this fast food, McDonald's food, how was that animal treated? Right? So knowing that the animal was treated, you really have to make sure, where was your food sourced from? At least vegetables, it's easy, like you can see organic label and you know it's organic, right? Now you need to figure out, if you're eating beef, where did this cow, which farm did this cow come from? How did those people in that farm handle that cow? When it was slaughtered, was the slaughtering done in a kind manner? Did those cow actually experience no pain? Because what Anthony Williams says is, what happens to the animal is when they're being killed, right? They hold that, you know, adrenaline is released in their body because they're fearful, right? That adrenaline is stuck in their body and now we are consuming it. So already we are stressed. We are living fight, flight, freeze mode. We already have phrenic nerve, vagus nerve problems, right? Humans have have been living through the survival, like Dr. Joe says, right? Survival hormones. Then we are consuming an animal that has that same adrenaline, excessively increasing adrenaline in our body. Then it won't know, our body won't know how to process it, right? So those are the things that we have to think about when we are this thing. But I wanted to give you some tips. Let me go to Rob, since he's been waiting, and then we'll go to Caesar. Go ahead, Rob, if you want to speak about this. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, it's a great topic. Thanks for having me. Placebo effect. I like to start with what the proof of the placebo effect, which is the negativity in our lives, the mind-body connection. When I just have negative thoughts, heart disease, high blood pressure, all sorts of things happen in the body from negative thinking. Even a horror movie sends all sorts of crazy chemicals through the body. So the opposite side of that is the placebo effect with food. Of course, if we're consuming food and we're having the mindset that this is a very healthy food and it's going to bring me nutrients, I do believe it will. And the opposite is true as well. If I don't think this is going to do me any good at all and I'm eating healthy food, the healthy food won't even have its power at that point. I guess the main takeaway for me is that my inner vibration, as long as my insides are clear and I'm aligned and I'm not lying to myself, and I'm not saying, oh, this food is going to bring me some nutrition, but really deep down inside, I don't really believe it. It's just lip service. You know, there is some truth to an inner vibration and firmly believing what I'm telling myself. And, you know, only the individual knows that. But yes, I believe that placebo effect is real. I don't think that there's a clear explanation of exactly how the chemicals are formed in the body, but that mind-body connection is certainly there, and we see that with negative thoughts, how that happens.
Thank you so much, Rob. That was amazing. Thank you for the confirmation all over again. grateful for the input. I also wanted to go back to something that April said. She said about Abraham Hicks saying that it doesn't matter what food you're eating, right? In the same thought, what Esther Hicks says is, so Abraham one day, she asked, Esther asked Abraham, can we eat any kind of food that we want, right? So Abraham says, okay, let me lead you to, I'm paraphrasing this, I don't remember the exact words, but Abraham said, let me show you how to pick up food, right? So Esther channeled Abraham while going grocery shopping. And then Abraham said, now look in your cart and pick up each item and see. And when Esther picked up each item, no item had any preservatives. Does that make sense? Like she picked up, Abraham picked up everything that Abraham picked was something that was natural. There were no preservatives or any of these manufactured foods, right? What is pre-processed, no processed foods were picked in the grocery cart. So that's what I think Anthony William and Abraham, that's the second part to that same story of Abraham Hicks saying you can eat any food, but I think what Abraham Hicks or Esther Hicks means is you can eat any food that does not contain, it's not processed food and does not contain preservatives, it's natural, right? So that was another part to it. Caesar, if you wanted to speak to this, thank you.
Sure. Hello, everybody. It feels really good to be back. So yeah, Rob had a great answer there. I caught the tail end of what April was saying. That was brilliant. So the placebo effect, of course, is real. And I'm sure somebody's already touched on this. So they did an experiment with 50 people that had the exact same knee injury. 25 of the 50 actually had the knee surgery, while the other 25 people did not have the surgery. However, they was shown the same thing and a cut was literally made on their knees. So they're behind the curtain, but they're watching a video screen that's showing the surgery. The surgery was nothing more than a fake cut. I mean, it was an actual cut, but then they showed a doctor going in and doing, that procedure, but it really wasn't on that person. And the bottom line is, out of the 25 people that had the surgery, 6 of them were successful in regaining the mobility in their knee and everything healed fine. Only 6 of the 25. Of the 25% that they used the placebo effect on, 21 people had healed perfectly. So this is all just about tricking the brain, I think, which obviously we're going to get down to a science as far as what chemicals are produced in the brain that allow that to happen. But I think at the end of the day, in a nutshell, it is us giving our cells or actually allowing them to heal in the process of the placebo effect. So I was taking this a natural duck liver for, it's like a flu remedy. It's natural, it's homeopathic or whatever. And I've been swearing by this stuff. It's OCCISUC, something like this. I can't even pronounce it. However, after several years of taking this, probably 3 or 4 times over the past 15, 20 years, when I felt ill, I find out that it's nothing more than sugar. However, I swore by it for the past 15 or 20 years. Every time I took it, 20 minutes, I felt great, like instantly. So I can now look back at that and say, yeah, that was the placebo effect, because people were saying it's not, duck liver dried out and turned into these crystals, it's actual sugar. And so when I really did a deep dive on it, I found out, in fact, that it was sugar. But hats off to sugar, man. Oh, it worked. So yeah, I think the placebo effect, in essence, really allows us to allow our bodies to heal in the way that's natural and that they should. So many friends that I know have had, back problems, being we all work in the construction industry, And as soon as they say, the doctor says, I should get back surgery. And I say, what are the chances of your back getting worse? And they always come up with the same thing, because I've heard this myself, 50-50. It might be, the back and neck are really delicate. So if they do the surgery, it might actually be worse. You might lose your range of motion in the back or the neck. That ain't good odds for me, as far as letting somebody work on your back and neck. In the same fashion, I want to hear, hey, listen, I've done this 100 times. I got a 99.9%, effectiveness in doing this surgery. That's the guy I want. Anything less than that, I'm walking. Doctors, in turn, want a confident and believing patient that the procedure will help them. Because as soon as somebody comes in, if I'm the doctor and somebody comes in and says, look, I've had this surgery 3 times, nobody gets it right. You're probably not going to get it right either, but let's go. I'm probably not even going to see that patient, because everything starts up here, your thinking, your belief. Because when there's negative thoughts, as Rob was saying, it kind of lessens the possibilities of everything around you to happen, because we're asking for more of that, through the law of attraction. Since you speak of Esther or Abraham, it is through that negativity or the positive side of things, and allowing what we are trying to manifest to be as it is, and get here and arrive when it does in its own time. And that goes for the placebo effect too. So to each his own. I think that the mind is a very powerful thing. And like Eckert says, it should be used as a tool, not to, give us these stories on how things should be, or how we think they should be. That's the center of all, suffering, really, at the end of the day. So that's all I got on the placebo effect, but 100%.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Caesar. So let me read some of the comments that came through. Louise said, our minds are very powerful, and what we put in our bodies is also powerful. And Summer said, yes, April, I have thalassemia minor and need iron because my red blood cells are too small to hold enough oxygen, and I'm too tired without red meat. To what Summer said, what I'm going to add is the reason we are low on iron is because we have the Epstein-Barr virus, and the virus is feeding on metals in our body and is eating up all the iron. So if anybody is low on iron, please go get tested for the Epstein-Barr virus first. You're not fixing the problem. You're fixing, you're putting a Band-Aid on the solution. The solution is to cleanse. But we each have a free will. You can use your free will. We are providing information. And however that information, sometimes, you listen to information and it becomes the truth, and you understand it to be the truth. To me, whatever medical medium, some people say, oh, medical medium is just channeling. He's just, how do you believe? How do you trust that it's the truth? It's like when you know the truth and you apply it and it's helping you, then you know that it is the correct information. Until you apply it, you're not going to believe it. You have to apply it. You have to start doing the protocol and see, does it make, to me, it brought me physical results, right? It brought me the healing. So I can say that, yeah, it worked. And I'm still working on it. I have not completely healed. So 50 years of eating bad food and being in an environment, doing the fight, flight, freeze for 50 years doesn't get fixed in 1 year or 2 years. It'll take some time, and I'm patient. Go ahead, Caesar. You were going to say something
I
else.
just wanted to say, if anybody's doubting that the medical medium's advice is real or not, I would just say to take a look at Poonam here. There's your living proof, living example. I mean, for us on the panel, when you see somebody all the time, you don't really see the change in them. But frequent flyer Caesar over here that misses every other time, I have really paid attention to not only your physical body, but your aura and the glow about you is just 360. from, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna
Couple
say,
of years ago.
yeah, at least. So hats off to you. There's your proof, everybody. I'm
Thank you,
about ready
Caesar.
to jump on that wagon with you.
Eternally grateful, Caesar. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the kind words. I wanted to ask you another thing, Caesar. I wish Kelly and Kelly were here. Maybe April has something to say about this, or she knows about it. One of the sessions, and I was waiting, like it was getting too late, so I didn't dive into it. You just mentioned towards the end, and it was getting late. So I was like, I don't want to have this conversation right now. I'll do it next time, but the next time didn't come, right? Because you missed the last 2 or 3 sessions. You talked about something about shapeshifter. Do you want to explain that so people would know what that shapeshifting was about?
So actually Kelly touched on this, and I'm familiar with it to a degree, not very knowledgeable per se. So a shapeshifter basically is that of a reptilian bloodline. So you could call this alien being, something not of the human nature. And it's more of a hybrid to my understanding. So part human, and part, I guess, reptile, if that's how you can really piece that together. And the shape shifting has everything to do with changing their appearance, and it happens frequently. So there's, a few accounts of the queen actually, and there was probably like 30 to 40 people that came forward as witnesses and different times as well that said they actually seen her shapeshift. And so what you would see, in a shapeshifter is you would actually see one side typically of their face, or perhaps an arm to go with it, that of a reptilian skin. The scales, the eyes, green with the pupils elongated. I don't know if I really believe any of it, and I'm just being honest. I guess I'd be open to it. However, it doesn't really affect me, so I never really, whether it's true or not. I never really put my focus there, but it was an interesting thought. But there are people who, scientists actually said that, like the royals actually obtained this reptilian blood, and apparently they, intersect it from a reptile, snakes, lizards of that nature, into their blood. And another rumor is that the queen was actually 162 years old, and the documents from her birth were obviously altered, as she's, the Queen of England and 162 years old. Nobody would really believe that, but I have seen some pretty interesting stuff that suggests that as well. So yeah, shape shifting is that of reptilian bloodlines, take the form of a human, and occasionally, and we don't know, nobody really knows what actually triggers that shape shifting to happen. And it's only literally for 2 seconds, 2 to 3 seconds. It just kind of gives the appearance and then goes away. They also say Lady Gaga, countless people have actually said they've seen, Lady Gaga shapeshift after a show in the dressing room. And I think it's kind of more of like an adrenaline dump, when you're just, producing so much adrenaline on stage. And then when you come off and you're, you start to level out a bit, I guess that's when, the shape shifting would actually take place in a moment like that. So who knows? But I do believe there is reptilian bloodline.
When we were talking about the bloodlines, right?
Yeah, hybrids, I believe, walk among us no problem. And we already know aliens walk among us, and they just operate on a different frequency. We talked about this before, where people go in with the infrared or the electrometers, and they can 100% verify that there's something, within this parameter of whatever it is. It's just in our aperture, they operate on a different frequency than we do. And having said that, our aperture is only dialed into the frequency. I forget what that actually is, of the visual sort. And they operate. So if you want to watch The Voice, which is on channel 4, you can't turn to channel 2 and watch Jay Leno. You're not going to catch The Voice there. So it's the same thing. They just operate on a different frequency. They do walk among us. So you'll find this a lot with the paranormal people who do this, and they mostly suggest that of a spirit or a soul. Where I think, in fact, it is more of the obvious to me would be alien, on a different frequency.
Thank you so much, Caesar. Always enlightening. I wish Kelly and Kelly were here. April, do you know about this?
So I do know about this. I have heard of this, and so the term alien, actually, alien is anything that is not of Earth. That's alien. So technically, we could say God was alien because God's not technically from Earth. God was never had a life on Earth. Technically, right? So alien is a scary word. What I'm trying to do is make it less scary. If you really start researching into where our Bible came from, where the Bible came from, the Torah, all of the religions, and you start looking into the Emerald Tablets and the Anunnaki and the Sumerian tablets and the Bhagavad Gita, how do you say it? Bhagavad Gita, whatever. But I don't know how to say that word.
Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, I'll let you say it. If you really start looking into this, then you will get a completely different story than what the masses have been told. From my understanding, and this goes back to Atlantis, and this goes back to Egypt and all of these and the Greek mythology. And from my understanding is that there are beings from other planets that actually came here and assisted us in our evolution. And some of the beings that came here were considered reptilians. Reptilians have a very bad rap, but the story I actually have of them is that they were actually here to teach us how to use the earth. They were not snakes. They did have reptilian skin, but they were here to show us how to work with the earth and how to be one with the earth and how to grow our food and to do those things. My understanding is that they are not still currently in human form. There is a reptilian bloodline per se, but they are not actually in human form. That is my understanding. And we do not need to be afraid of them. Now, where I think that these videos come of these people that are so-called reptilians, there's a whole nother side to this that is linked to the Illuminati. And that's where I think those stories come from. But if you take the other side here, which is Atlantis, Egypt, the Greek gods, all those myths, and the gray ones, Achurians, Lemurians, these star beings, the reptiles are in that story. So this is my understanding. The verdict I don't think is out, and I don't know who's right, and I think we all have a piece of the puzzle. One thing I know is that a person that I had been following over a year now is Matthias DiStefano, and I have watched his series on Gaia probably 3 times now because there's so much information, and I believe what he's saying. I believe he has a genuine, true story about this. So if you're interested, I would look him up on YouTube and his stories about it. Or now, do I think he has the complete puzzle? I don't know. He doesn't think he has the complete puzzle piece either, because each one of us has a different experience and we come from a different space. So I wouldn't be afraid. And I do think that there are other beings that have influenced us. And there are some people that shape-shifting too is like, you don't want to be scared of it because like I've had people that I've talked to and I work with, and when I work with people, a lot of times I end up working like on a multi-dimensional level. So I'll work with somebody and they'll turn their head, and when they turn their head, I will see their grandma energy come out. So it's almost like I see a grandma. That's a shape shifting. They're not shifting into a lizard or a dragon but if they also had perhaps a spirit animal, they may turn their head and I may see a dog right? So it depends on how you look at the word. So I don't want you to be afraid of the word shape shifting.
Always enlightening. Thank you so much, April and Caesar, for explaining that. Let me go to Patricia before she falls asleep in that chair. You want to talk about what Michelle asked, Patricia? Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, so incredible information out of this world, pretty much, of Caesar's and April. I'll take you back on Earth. And when I was growing up in Poland, Polish people had a saying, well, when you have a cold, it takes a week when you take a pill. But if you don't take a pill, it takes a week. So what I got from that is that the pill doesn't really heal you. It's the body. So our, in a sense, job is to give body what it needs to do the job right. So by giving it the right nutrients and having the right positive thoughts, which are they're releasing chemicals. So every thought releases chemical, muscles release chemicals, hormones. I mean, our whole body is a huge, ginormous factory of electricity and chemicals. So yeah, I'm thinking I better give it what it can use to heal instead of what it has to store in cells like toxins that at some point can turn into cancer. And I read through college and all sorts of things about different placebo effects, not only on the body, but on behavior and a lot of things. So yes, that's mind over matter definitely works. But I'm not sure if it worked 100% on me as far as the food is concerned, because I grew up and I was fed a lot of animal fats, and it was a Polish diet, a lot of kielbasa, a lot of pork, even chicken soup. Every time I was sick, my mom was making chicken soup, because it was believed that it's so good for you, it's healing, you have to have chicken soup. So my mind was told, I believe, okay, my mom is telling me that I have to eat chicken soup, and I was still like, sometimes I would throw it up because it was so fat and my body couldn't have fat. So then I went through all the different diets that I believe the reasoning behind them. I even tried, believe it or not, for I think a week, the keto diet, which presented how we need all that fat and this is this and that and that. And I almost died. I felt so bad, I'm gonna pass out. It's like, this is not, so I believed that this food is good for me. That's why I did the diet, because I needed energy, and it didn't work. So in this case, someone telling me and me believing it still didn't make the fatty food do good in my body. The only thing that works for me at this point is medical medium. And he didn't even have to convince me much. It's just, he made his recipe and I tried it. And when I was eating it, I just loved it. And it's not because I bought it so fast, but I think my body was finally like, yes, Patricia, you finally got it after so many years of feeding us this crap that we can't process. This is what works, and this is what we're gonna stick with. So I listened to my body. So it was almost reverse. My body did not listen to my mind. My mind listened to my body, finally. My heart couldn't, I had the dirty blood syndrome very badly because my liver stopped clearing the blood. My liver as a filter, I honestly just, I have like visions of my liver just begging, like, stop eating all that fat. And I believe that meat, you need meat. I come from the country that my father's like, you have to have meat. Meat will build your muscles. You need protein, meat. It's like, that's why you need to strong, blah, blah, blah. I need to drink milk for my teeth, all this stuff. So I was fed all of this. So, I believed it. And it just did me wrong. Did me so wrong that that's it. So I had to, my body kind of decided. So it was the opposite. So I don't know if that's, so in a sense, I believe that placebo works somewhat, but there's also intelligence in the body. That body knows what's good for it. So if we align with this and actually listened, like Poonam said, you gotta listen to your body and then it will tell you. So just by me sitting here and believing, it's like, by eating this bacon, I'm gonna be so healthy and strong. It's like, it's not gonna happen. It's just not, at least not for me. At least not for me. I love fruits and vegetables and they're saving my life. And that's what my body chooses to eat. So, my mind's like, wanted to have meat, but right now doesn't even, my mind kind of is a servant now to my body. And that's how I go with it. So I don't know if it's helpful, but that was my experience.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Patricia. Amazing. Grateful for your input. Summer said, Caesar, I've noticed people who stick their tongue or weirdly and thought they did it snake-like. This person who does it frequently has made me think of a reptile or snake for decades. I don't think you're talking about sticking the tongue. You're talking about the whole physical body turning into a reptile, right? So.
No, there's some that say that they stick their tongues out a lot.
The reptilian bloodline, a person of a reptilian bloodline?
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, anybody can make a TikTok video.
Always enlightening, April and Caesar. Thank you so much. I think Kelly was talking about the reptilian bloodline existing as of now, and something about Antarctica, right? Why is it a mystery? Something is going on in Antarctica. You said something about that, right, Caesar? Because Summer was asking that question, that are they like the military or somebody is finding humanoids? Have y'all heard of that? April and Caesar? What is that?
So Antarctica is actually the most heavily guarded spot on planet Earth by, I think it's like 22 countries. And so they have done, they've been doing, actually, they actually get barricaded, like, I forget what the square mileage is on it. But we know they've been operating at approximately 12 to 20 miles beneath the ice's surface, which that in itself is probably immensely just super thick. I have,
Well, and it's because the idea, right, Caesar, is that at some point there was a pole shift and Antarctica was not frozen,
right. So
right?
yeah. So I have seen stuff, and I think it might have been DeStefano who was talking with, I think it was 4, or it could have been 5 remote viewers who they did I'm not sure if it was Matthias or not, but I did see a 4-hour special that like 4 or 5 remote viewers from all different parts of the earth all were given them coordinates, and they all literally, and it was taking place live, so nobody could have had information, at least I wouldn't have suspected that. And they all described the same thing almost to a T, as far as a craft within a city down there. Is pretty cool. I will do my homework and find out where that is. I'm sure I saved it. But it was very interesting to what they all came up with. And this was intense for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours of each one describing, for 20 minutes exactly what, them coordinates were given them. So it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Caesar.
Are all of this just different forms of consciousness? I mean, life on Earth has such variety. Aren't they just different forms of life? They just not that we know yet of. What do you say, April, right? This is all forms of consciousness, correct? There are different dimensions, different planets, and maybe some of them just intersect, but isn't that all consciousness?
They
That's-
are all consciousness. They are all different levels of consciousness. The idea really is that Earth and life on Earth is much older than we think. And that again, beings from other planets actually came here, had civilizations here, lived here. And one of the key spots is Antarctica, which at one point was not frozen. So there are things there. There are buildings there, structures there. There's actually a bunch of structures on Mars that are, I mean, if they're really there and these photos are real, it's pretty amazing. So it's saying that life has existed much longer than what we've been told. But yes, they would be different levels of consciousness. Now, for the most part, they're waiting for Earth, for us to evolve before they're really going to make they have made contact before they really make contact. Basically, Earth is like, we're like teenagers in evolution. That's where we're at. We're kind of like teenager. We're still fighting each other. We're still blowing each other up. These are sentient beings. Lemuria, these are sentient beings. They're like, oh, okay, they need to grow up a little bit more.
And what about telepathy? I heard somewhere that, communicating and talking uses so much energy that the next level is just to communicate through telepathy, right? Is that we just will see each other's thoughts?
Telepathically, yeah, we're not there yet, but the next level would be energetic. So communication would be energetic, just like when we go to the other side. It's energetic. We don't use our mouth. We don't need our mouth. So again, it's the same concept here, that when you're having a thought, when you're having thoughts, when you're having emotions, you're sending out that energetic signature. So there, it's just much more clear. It's
Mm.
much good. So there is telepathic communication. We already talked telepathically. I already knew when you were upset and I wrote you. We already talked that way. It's just a matter of if you're paying attention to it or if you're open to it, but it would be much clearer, much louder. So,
But this
yes,
is to each other or with source, because I sometimes don't know
all,
if the
it's with
message.
all. When you go, yeah. So you don't go anywhere actually, but when you awaken to a higher dimension, then hearing, feeling, sensing source, it's much clearer.
Mm.
It's much louder. It's much easier to know when divine is coming through you.
I know Michelle went off camera. One of the things I wanted to let y'all know is that we won't have Facebook Live next week because I will be in movement. Unless Kelly, I'll message Kelly and see if he wants to host it. But if he's not going to host it, then we won't have it next week.
You're
We'll have it
moving to a
after.
different apartment?
I'll just be traveling. So, and then what I wanted to say is, I wish Michelle was here so that I could see her, but she's not here. Even though what I said about medical medium and Patricia said about medical medium, one of the things that Dr. Joe says, Michelle, is you can eat vegan food, you can eat vegetarian, you can eat whatever. But if you're living in fight, flight, freeze in the survival hormones, then you're just making organic vegan fear. Right? So it goes hand in hand. I don't think it's just like you do the diet and yeah, it's going to help you. I think that you have to make the shift. Patricia has made the shift. That's why it's helping her, right? Not everybody that's eating, like I feel the people that are eating that way, they make a shift in consciousness as well. And that's why it is helping them. It doesn't work. It's not people do a certain diet and then they fall off it, right? They'll start eating their eggs. Anthony Williams says the same thing. They'll be eating the medical medium protocol on the medical medium protocol, and then they'll go, oh, I think I need eggs, and start off back because it's so ingrained in us, right? That eggs are milk does the body good. How much did we hear that all our life? Milk does the body good, right? They'll go back to the drinking the milk. They want their glass of milk at the end of the day. I don't even know how people drank their glass of milk, right? I never liked milk all my life. So don't make organic fear is the main thing, main lesson. And be your own detective, know your body well, know, and the whole placebo effect is what Dr. Joe uses to train us. His past 3 blogs have been about that to act as the actor, right? Where he says, believe, behave, become, right? You believe that you're going to be healed. You behave like you're being healed, and you become that. Right. And that's why he has all the walking meditations, because the walking meditation kind of moves your body into, I'm unlimited, I'm the magician, I'm the healer, I'm the mystic. Like if you listen to the words of the walking meditation, he's making you energize and embody that into, like, make that sit in your body that you are. And the whole reasoning of the walking meditation is the placebo effect. The more you behave that way, the more you believe it, the more you behave that way, you will become it. That's what his philosophy is, right? So believe, behave, become. Y'all have done an incredibly amazing job today. I am infinite gratitude. Thank you to Dave and Sri Lakshmi that are online with us. And thank you to Summer and Louise that have been supporting us online as well. And Caesar, welcome back. So good to see you. So good to see you. So grateful. Okay, many blessings. Much love. We'll meet in 2 weeks.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Bye.